Starburst here. I wanted to show you my gear that I carried on my thru hike of the Pacific Crest Trail, which goes from Mexico to Canada. So it's very cold and snowy here in Washington, but I thought I would set up all of my sleep system and all my sleep gear out here so that you could see what it kind of looks like. So my tent and my shelter is a Z-Pax Solplex. As you can see here, it's a little bit of a wonky pitch just because there's like concrete and some frozen snow, but you'll get the point. I really liked the tent. It weighs about 15 ounces minus the stakes. And this Z-Pax offers these like really lightweight stakes that you can use. I used them in the beginning of my hike and then realized that they weren't heavy duty enough. There's a lot of hard ground on the PCT, so as you can see, I started to bend them and I had to opt for more heavy duty stakes, but overall I really enjoyed the tent. The zipper did break on my very last night on trail. I'm pretty sure it's an easy fix, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But either way, really enjoyed it. It is a tight fit. I'm 5'4", and I fit perfectly in it. I could even put my pack at the bottom of my tent near my feet. But if you are taller or bigger, I think maybe going for the 2-person tent would be best for you. Either way, I liked it. You don't need a ground sheet for it. It's really durable material. Got me through my whole hike. I would most likely use this again. Another thing that is great about the Z-Pax tents is that it uses your trekking poles to set up. I use trekking poles to hike about 50% of the time, so that was great for me to save a little bit of weight, to use my trekking poles for my tent instead of adding extra metal poles to set up my shelter. Okay, now walking over to my little cowboy setup. I like to cowboy camp a lot, especially in the desert. So as you can see here, I got it all ready to go. Yes, there's snow on the ground, so the Tyvek sheet blends in, but it's very dirty and wrinkly, but this Tyvek sheet was wonderful when I was cowboy camping. I could also put all my items next to me instead of putting them on the dirt. It was also wonderful to put out if I just wanted to eat lunch and kind of spread out or take a nap. My sleeping pad is a Thermarest Z-Lite. It's one of these accordion style sleeping pads. It's not inflatable, so it's extremely easy to just set up and take down. I did cut the end of it off to make it a bit shorter because it was really long for me and I just didn't need it. Something to note about the Thermarest Z-Lite, it's not the most comfortable sleeping pad, and especially if you are a side sleeper, it really can hurt your hips, which sometimes happened to me, but I really got used to it and really enjoy it, and I prefer it. It took about a week for me to really adjust to it, but then after that, I loved it. I never really wanted my other inflatable sleeping pad at all, but I know a lot of people don't really like it, so I would just try it out before your hike, maybe for a week. I mean, heck, go sleep in your backyard or something and test it out. It's one of your lighter options, one of the easiest options, so if you can adjust to it, I think it's a really good option for the sleeping pad. Here, my sleeping bag is an REI Magma 17 degree. I know a lot of people are a fan of quilts, but I just really like the whole sleeping bag setup. I like to feel like I'm in a cocoon and I can just cozy up in it. I started off with a Nemo Rave sleeping bag, 15 degree, which I really did enjoy, but I've had it for years and it was starting to shed really bad and it just wasn't keeping me that warm anymore. So midway through, I picked up this REI Magma. I really like it, but I do prefer the Nemo Rave just because the footbox area had so much more room. This REI Magma is lighter than the Nemo Rave, but the footbox is pretty narrow, if you can see down there. And sometimes it just would make me feel like my feet were trapped and I couldn't really spread them out. So the Nemo Rave is heavier, but I prefer being able to sleep and do flips like an acrobat in the middle of my sleep because that's just how I am sometimes. I do like to use a pillow when I sleep, but I didn't bring one. And so what I would do every night to make a pillow is I would take my stuff sack that my sleeping bag usually is in, and then I would shove it with all the clothes I wasn't wearing and anything fairly soft, and then cinch it and then use this as my pillow. For my pack, I had a 50-liter frameless from Waymark Gear Company. and I really enjoyed this pack. As you can see, it's a roll top, so that is wonderful because you can basically adjust the size of your pack however you need it to fit, depending how much stuff you have in it. So I really enjoyed that because I could really like compress all the stuff down if I didn't have that many things inside, and I was able to compress my pack very easily. It's very dirty, but it made it through fantastic. I could still use this pack. There are some holes, but it is not from, you know, the integrity of the material. It was just from me. When I started shoving like my steaks in the front pocket, they would get caught and I would rip them out, especially if it was freezing and I was frustrated. But either way, really enjoyed this pack, very durable. I did have a hip belt with a very large pocket in the front. I put my cell phone, my knife, my headlamp, and all of my snacks in this pocket. It was very easy to access. What I love about this pack versus other packs that I've tried on is that the hip belt sits a little bit higher on me than other packs, which I really liked because I felt like it was right where I needed for the weight to be correctly distributed. And this front pocket is pretty much right in front of me, so I can easily access it. A lot of other packs, their pockets are more on the side, and it was very hard for me to reach anything back there, and I'd have to do this like torsional acrobatic move that would result in like injury half the time. Also, the side pockets made it easy for me to pull out my water bottle so I didn't have to keep moving. Overall, like I said, really enjoyed this pack. Will definitely be using it on my next thru hike. I used a trash compactor bag to keep all my items dry when I thought it was going to rain. I did start with a waterproof pack cover, but I decided to send that home as I thought this was easier to just keep my items in there at all times, so I didn't really have to worry about, you know, putting my pack cover on and off if I thought it was gonna rain or not. My kitchen setup was very simple. I did not have a stove, but here I have a Cuban fiber food bag, a titanium spork, and for my water filtration, I used a Sawyer squeeze that I would just screw onto the top of Smart water bottles or any other water bottle that had the same size nozzle. I like to carry all of my first aid essentials in a little container like this, just to keep it all together. Band-aids, scissors, tweezers, nail clippers, all of that good stuff. For my electronics, I did carry a Garmin InReach Explorer. I really enjoyed this. I don't even imagine myself going hiking without this ever again. It has two-way messaging and, you know, emergency services. If anything happened to you or somebody else, you could call in a flight crew, and obviously has a GPS. I used my phone for a GPS, but whenever that wasn't working very well, I would turn to this. Then to recharge all of my electronics, I had an Anker power cord. It's almost 21,000 milliamps. This gave me about 6 iPhone charges plus 1 Garmin charge. Then I have a black diamond headlamp, and then another Cuban fiber pouch, which got pretty beat up, but I would put all of my electronics in this. These next items are what I carried for the Sierra Nevada portion of my hike. Because it was at such a high elevation and it got really cold, I wanted to have double insulation for my sleeping pad. So I did have my REI Flash insulated air pad with me. I do like it, but I'm just not a big fan of inflatable sleeping pads because it takes work to blow it up and take down, and it actually isn't very comfortable, but I did appreciate that it kept me off the ground more than my Thermarest Z-Lite. Then here is my bear canister. It is a Bear Vault 500 model. It is the large one because I couldn't fit all of my food in a small one, so I highly recommend that. Then I had my ice axe and micro spikes. I never had to use them, but I know some people did in this past year of 2018 and definitely had to in the year 2017, just depending on the snow level of that year. I think it's always better to have them than not, just in case. You never know what's going to happen. But make sure you do have a strap with your ice axe and that you know how to use it. And finally, for my clothing, I usually always carried some type of beanie like this and a hat, so if it was really sunny, I could keep my face protected. Also, always had some sort of like a base layer on me. And then here I have my puffy. It's Mountain Hardwear, 800 fill down. Love it. Needs to be washed though. I had an Arc'teryx long sleeve lightweight shirt that I hiked in pretty much every single day. It was perfect for me. I like to keep my skin covered as much as possible, especially on a trail like the PCT where there are a lot of exposed parts. I have fair skin, and so I liked the long sleeve aspect. That's why I like to carry hiking pants. These are the brand Cole, and I try to wear these as much as possible to keep my skin covered, but when it got really hot, I would switch to shorts. These are Patagonia. I really liked them. I think these are Patagonia baggies. Here I like to sleep in my Smart Wool thermals. I liked sleeping in something else than what I was hiking in. Some people go to bed with the same clothes they hiked in. I did not like that, so I liked having an extra set of clothing. That's why I have this cotton shirt here that I would wear to bed. Absolutely loved it. Picked it up in a thrift store and slept with it every single night. Then I have sports bra and really soft underwear, headband to help keep my wispies back, and waterproof gloves. I had a Frog Togs waterproof jacket that really came in handy in the last weeks of trail when it got extremely wet. I did not have rain pants, and I don't think I ever really would. I would usually just wear my shorts if it was raining and then warm up at night with my thermals. I started trail in my Ultra Lone Peak 3.5s, really enjoyed them actually, but I was having some foot pain, and so I switched to a more cushiony shoe. Here I have the Hoka One Torrents. I think I prefer the Hoka ones over the Ultra Lone Peaks, but the Ultra Lone Peaks seem to be extremely durable as my Hokas were starting to fall apart a little bit more, but like I said, there's more cushion and made my feet feel better. Each pair of shoe I would get about 800 to 900 miles on. Make sure to remember that your feet are most likely going to grow if you are doing a thru hike. So if you are buying shoes in advance, make sure to up your size. These Ultra Lone Peaks I started at a 9. Then my second pair I had to get a 9.5. My regular foot size is a size 8. So just keep that in mind if you are planning your very first thru hike. My camp shoes are Bedrock sandals. They are a bit heavier for normal camp shoes, but they're extremely durable. I like to wear them while fording streams or obviously just at camp. Here are gaiters from Dirty Girl Gaiters. I highly recommend them, especially on trails like the PCT where there's a lot of desert type trail and rocks and sand. It really did help prevent getting a lot of junk into my shoes. That is really annoying when you hike. When I hiked, I like to wear some sort of Injinji toe sock. It really helps prevent blisters. I have a short pair and a taller pair. And then on top of it, I would wear a Smart Wool thin sock. Loved this system. Like I said, didn't get many blisters. Then when I slept, if it was really cold, I would wear my Darn Tough socks. A lot of people like to hike in these. I do not because it made my feet too warm and too sweaty. And for some reason the friction just would give me blisters, which is why I liked doing a liner and a thin sock. I also love the Injinjis because I can wear them with my camp shoes if it was colder out, but still not have freezing little toesies. Okay everyone, that is it. That is my gear that I used on my Pacific Crest Trail thru hike. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about my gear setup or want any ideas for your thru hike. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at the Whimsical Woman. And like I said, let me know if you have any questions, and happy trails.